Having gotten my master's degree in history and world civilization, for years I have been tasting the world on this list, all the countries on the globe, with the exception of South Sudan. So, I was taking a look at Lebanon. Never tried the food, or I've tried the food, but I've never tried to make the food myself. And Lebanon's really interesting because it's both Mediterranean and it's Middle Eastern. So you have a mingling of cultures, and oddly enough, a mingling of cuisine as well, stretching from Mediterranean through Middle East and Western Asia. So, today, we're going to make something you might not even knew existed, something called Lebanese pizza. What we're going to make is a Lebanese Lamb Pizza. Today, on the Lupine Epicurean. Welcome to yet another episode of the Lupine Epicurean. I'm your host, Paul Wolf Holloman. 4 years ago, I was in Washington, D.C. in the middle of winter, and I went to a Lebanese restaurant, and I had the pizza there, and I didn't even know they made pizza. But I ate this thing, and it was like, oh my God, it was so good, and so different. Now, granted, there are some similarities to other pizza around the world. Different toppings, different types of meat that you can put on. The one thing that is consistent is that there's usually Greek yogurt involved, and there's usually a Mediterranean flatbread. So, 2 weeks ago, we did the barbecue braise. It's been 2 weeks, and tomorrow is Sunday. It's once again game day, and I've decided I'm going to make Lebanese lamb pizza for my whole posse. And hopefully they'll like it. So thought about making it and then making all 4 of them and then throwing them in the refrigerator or the freezer, because I'm going to do little personalized, personal size pizza for the gang. But unfortunately, yogurt and hummus will make that crust a little too soft, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one tonight. We're going to do some, go ahead and cook up some lamb. I'm going to show you how to put it all together. And then tomorrow we're going to come back and I'm going to have 4 of them ready to go. And we're going to get the guys to try them and tell us what they think. So let's go ahead and get started on that right now. Let's talk about the ingredients that we're going to use today for our Lebanese lamb pizza. So first of all, we're going to start by cooking the lamb up in a pot or pan with some spices and a nice little base to get us going. So I've got some lamb here, some lamb that I bought from Whole Foods Market, which I can say now. In the past I've always said the organic store, but I've got permission to go ahead and say that I do get all of my food, well, almost all of my food on a weekly basis from Whole Foods Market. Why? It's organic, it's many times healthier, it's local. I like their mission statement. So I have got some locally raised lamb here. It's ground lamb, and we're going to use that. I've got probably about a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more than a tablespoon of oregano. I've got a lot of chili powder. Yep, chili powder. Believe it or not, chili powder is used, I think, just about everywhere in the world, including Lebanon, Turkey, and the Mediterranean. And then oregano is more Mediterranean, but this cumin, this is more of that Middle Eastern to West Asian kind of flavor. So we've got about a tablespoon of cumin there as well. So we're going to mix that all together, probably with a little bit of olive oil, and I'm thinking maybe some Worcestershire sauce, something else in there to give it a little bit of a base, because I don't want it to dry out. That's the bad thing about lamb. It's unlike beef, it will dry out on you a little bit. You want to cook it thoroughly, but you don't have to cook it as thoroughly as beef. So we're basically going to brown it before we put it onto our Mediterranean flatbread. This is where we start to build our little pizza. And you can see this is about a 6-7 inch Mediterranean flatbread. It has a nice thickness to it. It looks a lot like a pizza crust. We're also going to use some Greek yogurt, plain. We're going to use some hummus. Now the hummus I have is actually a spinach and artichoke hummus. And then of course we're going to have some black olives. You can't do Mediterranean or Middle Eastern without some olives, I think. And then of course there's my veggie gruel, but I did my veggie gruel a little bit different. Instead of just an onion and green pepper this week, I also put in some garlic, sliced garlic, so not too thin, some nice thick pieces, as well as throwing some basil in there. I've always liked basil, so that's in there. That's what I've been using all week. And then also we're going to do something called halloumi cheese, H-A-L-O-U-M-I, halloumi cheese. And as you can see, what I've done is I've taken a block here and I've begun to shred it. Got one of these wonderful, this is one of my favorite kitchen tools, a handheld cheese shredder, so you don't have to sit there and lose your nails from grating on a grate. So that's what we got. We're going to brown our lamb with some spices, and then we're going to put that lamb on this Mediterranean flatbread with these other ingredients, and then we're going to cook it, and it's going to be Lebanese lamb pizza. There you go. So what I'm doing is I'm just browning the lamb now, and I actually put a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of Worcestershire sauce in the bottom. I also took a little bit of my veggie gruel and I put in there as well. So now I put in the lamb. I've got it browning, and I don't want to get it too far along here before I start adding these spices, because I really want that flavor to be steeped in there. So I'm actually going to start with cumin, because that is probably the most prevalent flavor that I want in this, since I'm going for that Middle Eastern kind of flavor. So I'm going to get the cumin in there and then stir this up some more. And that'll start working that in. Now, the next thing I'm going to put in is going to be this chili powder, because I want that nice heat in there early. That's going to, and I guarantee you tomorrow when I take this out of the refrigerator and heat it up again, I think I got too much. Occasionally I do that. So it looks more like I had more than 2 tablespoons. So just 2 tablespoons is going to be plenty to put in there as far as chili powder. And that heat it's going to come out nice tonight, but overnight it'll be able to really get into that. Tomorrow that heat will be even better. So now finally I'm going to go ahead and put in the oregano. That's going to give us that nice Mediterranean flavor. And as I've always said, you can never have too much oregano. So all that's in there. And stir that up some more. Now, actually, as I'm doing this, this is browning very fast. And you're going to look at this and say, you know, it's kind of crumbly. It's actually the way it's supposed to be. On Lebanese pizza, the different kinds of meat you can use are usually going to be crumbly meats. They actually, a lot of times, eat Lebanese pizza in Lebanon as breakfast. And because the meat is crumbly and the Mediterranean bread is so soft, they just roll it up. So it's almost like a breakfast burrito, if you will. So you're going to see that and think, yep, that's awful fine. And that's okay. That's exactly the way we want it. And it hasn't taken any long time at all to brown that. It's actually about where we want it, because this is going to do the rest of its cooking in the oven, which I'm going to go ahead and pop this on up to 385. Get my oven preheated, because I'm ready to take my lamb off the heat and start building my pizza. So I've got my lamb meat over here in a container so I can get at it easily. Plus I'm going to need to store that since I'm going to be using it tomorrow. I've got my bake sheet out, and I like to use one of these air bake baking sheets. It makes it a lot more consistent, less likely to burn, but just to make sure I'm just going to put a little bit of canola spray on there before I put my Mediterranean bread right there in the middle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this hummus and I'm going to spread it around. Now, I'm not looking to make it real thick, just enough to coat a little bit coming out from the middle. That should be good enough. And that should work. That's good. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this Greek yogurt and I'm going to spread it around on top. That's going to get mixed in. That's going to look kind of nasty. But it's not. It's really good, I promise you. So, got that going. All right. So, now, I'm going to go ahead and get my lamb meat that I have browned. Get that spread out. Not sure exactly how much. We'll see here in a second what it's going to take. I've got 3 big spoonfuls so far. I don't want to be too liberal here because I'm saving some for tomorrow. I think that's probably good right there. That gives us a nice thin layer. And then I'm going to go ahead and get some of my veggie gruel and top on here. Not much, just enough because I already put some in with the lamb when I was cooking it. I just want a little extra garlic. That's what I'm looking at. And then, of course, some black olives. Now, of course, tomorrow when I make these, I'll have to be a little careful. I've got a couple of my buddies that just don't like black olives, so we won't give them to them. And then, of course, got all that grated halloumi cheese over there. Now, American pizza, you're usually trying to coat as much as you can on the top. You want that nice layer of cheese. With a Lebanese pizza, you don't really want to coat like that. You want it to be a nice sort of almost like snowflakes coming down on there. So, there we go. We're ready to pop it into the oven. So, here's the fun part. This is only going to take about 14 minutes for this to cook enough for us to eat it. And then once we get it out, we're going to put another little dollop of this Greek yogurt right in the middle, and it should be awesome. Alright, so here we are. I've got 5 of these beautiful Lebanese lamb pizzas getting ready to go into the oven that we are going to distribute to the posse today. So, this is what they look like going in. You'll see them here in about 15 minutes when they come out. And here they are out of the oven, nice and crisp, delicious looking, melty cheese, all sorts of goodness ready to go out to the front room. Alright, so my 2 judges today, Ken Dotson and Chef Parker Black, they each have their own personalized, personal-sized Lebanese lamb pizza. So, Ken, what do you think of that?
Very creamy.
Very creamy. That's
cheese, yeah.
That's you've got the halloumi cheese, and of course you've got underneath it, you've got that Greek yogurt that's on the bottom there.
I like it.
Cool. Mr. Black?
I like the spices. I like the spice on the lamb. I think it does really well. It matches with everything else. I like it.
And he's talking about the cumin and the oregano and the chili powder in there. So it looks like we have a success. Does anybody on the non-visual side of the room want to holler anything about their pizza?
It's very good.
It's very good. There you go. That was a holler from Mr. Scott. All right. So there you have it. A little Lebanese lamb pizza this time around. And as you can see, it ended up being a hit with the guys. They enjoyed eating it. And we had a lot of fun putting it together. So, I want to thank you for joining me this time around, and I want to thank my buddies Ken Dotson and Chef Parker Black for being guinea pigs, as well as John Scott and Mark Schickles, who were off camera. As usual, if you want to see the recipe for how to make my Lebanese lamb pizza, then come on over to my foodie website. It's over at appetit.blogspot.com. And of course, we've got recipes there, links to these videos, as well as restaurant reviews and general articles about food. And of course, as usual, anytime you want to learn how to cook something new, something quick, easy, inexpensive, most of the time, then come on back here to the Wicked Wolf Studios channel on YouTube, and we'll show you how it's done. So, in the meantime, we'll see you in the kitchen. Tiger boy. Alright. You can be in this shot. Alright? 3, 2, 1. Welcome to yet another episode of Lupine Epicurean. I'm your host, Paul Woltholman. Glad to see you